Alright, hello there, welcome back. We're going to go over some basic pistol stances and how those compare to the car or center axis of relock stance hand grip. First off, we're going to be looking at the modified isosceles. This is the most modern stance. This allows for pretty good compression and natural point of aim. Big one is natural point of aim. It allows you to just center up on your threat, face it directly, and you aim directly well, based off your facing. This here is a slightly older stance model. Notice dropping the head to get behind the gun, pushing the shoulders all the way forward. This really does help with a lot of recoil mitigation, but it puts a lot of strain and effort into it. A lot less natural, a lot more difficult. Here's pretty much the same thing. This is just before we really started doing compression. The weapons would drop down low. The problem is with this, if your weapon's down really low, if you've got someone running up on you, they could just place their hands over the top of your gun. Their muscles pushing down are much stronger than your muscles pushing up. So, not ideal. Now we're getting into Weaver stance with a bladed stance. The idea is this makes you a more narrow silhouette, which can kind of be true. Not for all body types though. Main difficulty here, you lack mobility. It's a little harder to move out of this stance, and if you're wearing plate carriers and armor, you're not squared up with your threat. You also don't have a natural point of aim from this position. It is a very good supported position, but not perfect. There are better ones. This is a older stance. Now we're getting into center axis relock, or CAR, grip and stance. Now, this is meant to augment the Weaver stance, the one that we just went over. The entire purpose of this is more or less fighting in really tight, confined environments. Once upon a time, law enforcement officers and just lethal shootings in general were discovered to be about 50% in very close proximity, and 70% overall were much less than 10 feet. So, very close. You don't necessarily need that proper sight alignment and all that whenever you're dealing with very short distances like that. So, car stance, car grip, whatever, was designed for that situation. Now, obviously this was popularized in Hollywood and video games, but it's not necessarily the most up-to-date technique anymore. Again, car stance was meant to modify the Weaver stance, but we got out of Weaver stance around mid-2000s, 90s era. We stopped using Weaver. It's no longer really relevant. So if the stance that it's meant to modify is no longer really used, there's no use in really using CAR. There are much better methods out there, much better techniques, especially modern day teachings with the modified isosceles. You can still use compression, you can still use close quarters techniques, and it has natural point of aim benefits. One of the things with CAR is that you're shooting directly 90 degrees off of your torso. That's fine and dandy, but your natural point of aim with directly square on your chest is much more natural, much more ideal, and much faster to pick up. It's easier to teach, which is very important whenever you have various people trying to save money on training. So here's just a little note on car stance, car grip, car techniques, and understand what you're looking at when you see it on the screens. Have a good one, guys.